And on top of all that, he's a rippingly handsome fella. We're glad to welcome Michael Palin. Thank you. Michael, what have we learned tonight? That big Russian lady in the hamburger ad was very different from the nifty girl in the aerobics program, wasn't she? What do you think of Natalia?
I didn't notice Natalia particularly. I always like in those to see the room that they're actually in. I was fascinated by the sort of background. She was the one who was the aerobics lady.
She was the one who sort of lay on the floor.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, I've been in a couple of Russian flats which are so small that if you actually swung your leg around at the end, you'd probably knock over 3 samovars, an entire tea set, and a sort of poster of Lenin. And it was interesting, there was a little telephone there were some books. I wonder what books she had on the bookshelf, you know, Wedgwood Ben's diaries, or the latest John le Carre, or Spotlight.
And you didn't actually notice the girl?
Yes, I did. I did, Clive, I did, and I...
Sorry to press you on this point, but...
No, press me any way you like. I've never seen...
She was quite
I've never seen
herself.
a Russian... Actually, I've never seen so much of a Russian. I mean, normally, and I think that's why the Russians are all considered to be very fat, is they wear an enormous amount of clothes. I mean, they are wearing about 3 scarves and 4 coats.
And
to see someone wearing as little as she was, I thought was interesting and very stimulating.
And interesting.
No, I mean, I don't know what's wrong with it. No, just interesting.
Do you think that was a locally manufactured leotard she was wearing? They were perhaps imported?
Yes, I think it passed down. I think it was a family heirloom, looked like, and worn by her father before, probably a Russian army general.
I think they actually have trouble making the stuff now that they want to, but they seem to have broken through with that underwear commercial. What do you think of the underwear?
Well,
Did you notice that one? You didn't notice?
Yes, no, I thought that was absolutely to the point, but to the point. I mean, it was, it showed what it was for, not what they were for, the garments, and I would just like to see her riding a bulldozer, dressed like that, as your correspondent was saying. It's very interesting. But interesting aspect that those sort of things aren't available in Russia. I certainly... Never seen any myself.
Well, no. When I was last in Russia, when I was last in Russia, you went past the front window of the only fashionable shop in Moscow, and there'd be one foundation garment hanging on a sort of little chromium stand, and it was imported from East Germany. Yeah. In fact, it was a mark of just what desperate condition they were in. They regarded East Germany as a fashion centre.
Yes,
somewhere.
Right, yeah.
What about the stereotype of the British, the standard cliché of the British? It was there in that Canadian tea ad, wasn't it? With the upper-class voices.
Well, I think the adverts and airlines seem to love stereotypes. I mean, I get really sick of seeing the ads for Britain that British Airways purvey. It's always, you know, chaps going out there in bowler hats and striding up and down St James's Park and beef eaters and all that sort of thing. It's not really the reality. And I was quite encouraged when I went around the world that the actual archetypal image of Britain is not a male image, it's a female image. I said the only people in the countries I went to that they knew about in England were Margaret Thatcher, Princess Di, and Samantha Fox. And which neatly brings us on from the bra ad. I mean, Samantha Fox was very popular, and I was on the talking to a border guard in Qatar, of all places, which is on the edge of the Arab Emirates. And when I told him that I knew Samantha Fox, which I don't, but I had to try and get across his country any way I could, he was most interested. I said, the only way I actually got into his school books, I said I'd been engaged to all 3 of these women at one time or another, and that he was impressed. I don't think he was sure of the meaning of the word engaged. I think he felt it meant something sort of rather more intimate. But anyway, I said, don't worry, don't worry.
Which nationalities do live up to the cliché, their actual stereotype?
Well, I don't know. I mean, the Americans are interesting because, I mean, I suppose the stereotype with Americans is that they're big and rather loud. And again, on the journey around the world, to go from the Orient and then an 11-day trip across the Pacific Ocean and arrive in America, you are aware of just how gigantic the Americans are after Japan and Korea and
their
China.
actual physical
Huge.
size?
Oh, yes, yes. I mean, absolutely enormous. And, you know, it's like sort of Americans eat anything because this country is so rich, you've got to eat it. Just stuff it in there, you know, otherwise we'll have a wheat surplus. And they're all walking around with their own wheat surplus in their bodies. And they, because they're so big, they also talk very loudly. So, I mean, I don't think they really mean to, but you can just hear them from miles away. And that did seem to me, on the train journey across America, I saw lots of people literally almost could hardly get down the train, the sort of corridors of the train, because they were so vast. Huge buttocks that would sort of clean the window with one side and open the windows, the doors of the compartments with the other, you know. So you go down this sort of great stream of windows and doors and noises and creaks and shouts, "Hey, honey, I'm coming!"
some reason they always wear running shorts while they're doing this.
Yeah, that's right.
Sneakers
Just
and
to
a
let
little,
you see the goods.
a little dog.
Yeah. I don't know where... I think their running shorts double as spinnakers, you know, they're actually sort of part of the Americans' cut. But actually, I do like Americans very much. I don't want to get the wrong
So do
impression.
and I enjoy America hugely, but huge is the word.
Yeah.
You ever have, the first time you're in America, the first time they bring a salad to the table,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
the size of it.
Yeah.
It's extraordinary. It's like a garden with a little gnome sitting in it.
Yeah. Well, I went to a deli, a Jewish deli, and they had a sandwich there. I just said a salt beef sandwich. And not just 2 layers, it was about 8 layers. It's this big. I don't know anyone who's got a mouth that size. So I asked my friend who was Jewish, he said, why did they make the sandwiches so big? And he said, 2,000 years of guilt.
What did you make of Homo, the Polish wonder dog?
Well, it was, extraordinary act. I thought absolutely mesmerizing because, to me, he bore absolute marked resemblance to Barry Manilow. If you would play it again, there was just something,
Except that
both in the way he was playing and...
Except that Homo sings better, right?
Yeah, Homer's got more talent, I agree. No, but it's not true. But I thought it was so strange that you can go to these lengths to teach a dog to do something that most humans can do very badly as well. I mean, I know so many people who play the piano badly or write the letter T badly. And why not have them on television? Why get a dog to do it as well? You know, I mean, why not? Why don't we all learn the good things that Homo... Homo, Daisy to his friends, that Homo can do, you know? Men doing doggy things. Let's leap walls. Let's leap through blazing buildings.
Go and run for a stick and bring it back.
Yeah, that's useful things like that, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And, but the question is, did Homo do those things? I mean, that hand looked... That's not a real hand. It's
very strange, very strange. I think there was some sort of electrical current going through Homo at that moment, which made him such a riveting dog. But he didn't do anything, I think, that the dog should do. Yeah. Maybe he did that later.
You know about dogs, don't you?
Yes, I know about dogs.
Well, you worked with dogs.
Yeah, well, I had to kill them. No, I didn't. I had to kill the old lady in A Fish Called Wanda, of course, and ended up killing the dogs. Yeah. But I actually... I had to be... There's one scene in Wanda where I was in a van, back of a van, and I had to set a very big dog onto this lady. And, of course, it ends up, misses the lady, goes straight for the small dog, puts it in its mouth and runs off. And they got this very dangerous dog, and they said, Mike, we're going to bring the dog into the van now. And I was so squashed up there, and I just be calm, you know, because it's okay, it's going to be all right. Just don't make any sudden movements. So this dog came in, and it's really a lovely dog, sort of licked me all over. It wasn't, you know, it was totally unfrightening. And so they're obviously a bit worried about it because we got on extremely well. So the bit where I sort of pull the doors open and say, kill, the dog... And so I noticed just before the take, they gave its testicles just a very slight tweak, and off it went, boom! And I thought if they applied that to actors generally, this could be, you could see a whole new, you know, a sort of revival of the British film industry. Hello, Sir John, we're just going to get you... hello! Morning! What a lovely day. But anyway, it was completely humane. I don't want you to get any phone calls from people who go around tweaking...
You mean the dog handler, just handler, eh?
Just a very slight... Just an adjustment, Clive. You know. I'll show you afterwards.
The dog understands. Dog bears no resentment.
No, not at all. It just bits an entire lamppost in half. But that was... It's interesting that animals do get nervous, because I've worked with goats and pigs, pigs in a private function, and you think that they'd be okay. And they are. In rehearsal, they're absolutely fine, but they somehow know when it is a take. Yeah. And you know, they show it accordingly. I mean, the pig made a terrible mess. As soon as it knew it was a take, all through the afternoon was fine. As soon as I'm, right, action, boom, bang, voila. Have to clean up the carpet, on we go. Same with the goats. Michael, cue Michael and the goat, on we come, and the goat does things it never did all through the afternoon. A lot of little black pellets all over the place. Very unprecedented.
But enough of that.
Enough of that, yeah.
What about the girl who ate the eggs? What will be coming?
Now we're talking about...
Crisis.
We're talking about crisis time, because I've actually seen an act done by... it was a show at the BBC, and my friend Terry Jones was an apprentice at the BBC, apprentice floor manager. And it was a show which never got on the air, compared by Dave Allen, which had a lot of stunts. And one of the stunts on it was a man who ate 48 raw eggs in a minute. Not just like she was eating, she was like sort of at the Ritz having little quail's egg every now and then. He just took these eggs and he put them in a huge, great sort of litre beer pot and just drank them down. And it was an incredible act. He did get 48 down in a minute. And I happened to be going out to the loo afterwards, and he appeared at at the urinals, stuck his finger in, and whoop, out they all came, completely undigested 48 eggs. Dum, 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 dum. Joining the cigarette stubs, you know, and the tickets and the programmes, everything else that gunges it up. I thought that was an amazing moment. I mean, that seemed to be more interesting, you know, than swallowing them. Bringing up 48 eggs.
I think that's the single most horrible story
It is.
I've ever heard.
Oh, I've got more where that came from. There was also a man who held a motorbike back in his teeth, a motorbike at full throttle back in his teeth. He's got in there. It's just incredible. And then the motorbike and revs off, and terrific. And the teeth.
Well, Michael, it's always a delight talking to you face to face. It's a long while since we've met. I think it was a few years back at a Cambridge charity concert, wasn't it?
Yes, it was actually. And may I say that it was, I think we'd organised a concert and you were comparing, and you were an extremely good sport, because at one point, I think in a sketch Terry and I had, you were required to drop your trousers, or the compare was, and many other people wouldn't have done it. Janet Street Porter wouldn't have done it, but you consented to drop your trousers, and there was a wonderful photo taken at the time, and I hope you don't mind, I've taken the liberty of bringing it along. I don't know if they're going to show it. And here you are. I think that's...
I never knew...
You never knew I cared.
I never knew there was a camera in the place, or I'd never taken my trousers
Well,
off.
that's it. No, it was extremely sporting, and I was very glad you did it, and it got a good laugh.
Mike.
A laugh of admiration, as well as a gasp.
Mike, we have to stop there. Thanks a bunch, Michael Palin.